move on up. Why not? Good advice, isn't it? How are you? Welcome to another Ricky's Bollock, as it's known. There's even a gang called the Bollocks Gang. They do things for charity and ask me stupid fucking questions. Right, I've got loads of questions. Welsh Felix, what's your next creative endeavour? And what is the project you have in mind for you and Ryan Reynolds to do together? Oh, no, I said no, I haven't got a project with him. But I thought of a good advert we could do together with this and his aviation gin. So, no, it's not a project, although I would love it. He's great. I would work with him, of course. But I'm too lazy now to do anything else. The thing I'm doing at the moment, I'm developing just a pilot for an adult animation about cats. That's all I can tell you, in case it's rubbish. At the moment, it's going well. There's nothing like it. It makes me laugh. That's all you can say, isn't it? I don't know if people will love it. I don't know if it's going to be, mainstream or a cult. I mean, I thought Afterlife was a cult, but it was a huge cult that was bigger than most mainstream things. So you never know. And that I was worried about, like, how can I do a comedy about suicide and cancer? Turns out you can. Leopold and Loveday. If you were a cat like us, would you climb the Christmas tree? Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because if I was a cat like you, I'd be an idiot, wouldn't I? So I would climb the Christmas tree. Merry Christmas. That's not bad, is it? I'll do that. Drink Dutch Barn. Merry Christmas. There's an advert. Another one. It's that easy. It's that easy. And my cat, when I was little, Paddy, Big Tabby, a bit like Pickle, used to eat the lametta. You remember that sort of like stuff that you'd hang on Christmas trees that was like sort of tin foil? It would eat that and throw it up. So we just find these really sort of glamorous, shiny balls of vomit around the house. Liberace spew. So I probably would climb the Christmas tree. Julie Kemple, is there anyone you met professionally that has surprised you or been different to what you expected? David Bowie springs to mind, just because he was so innovative and I don't know, and he was like alien, and then you meet him and he's a normal bloke from South London. And he's really down to earth and funny, and he knows about stuff. He still knows what's going on. You expect him to be sort of out of touch in some sort of weird lair. Just a bloke called Davy Jones. Gonzo the Cat. If you had to choose one, would you A, never tell another joke in your life? That's impossible. That's impossible. Never taste alcohol again. Can I drink it and hold my nose? I think you mean never. I'll take that as never drink alcohol again. That's tough. Easier than the first one. Never travel beyond Hampstead or your house in the country. That's not that bad. The way honestly, even when I travel to places I really love, I wish they were down the road, or I could teleport myself. Just getting up and getting dressed. Lose all memories of your career since 2001. No, that's the fun bit, isn't it? Looking back at stuff. You know, knowing you did a good job, and that's soon. That's all you are, isn't it? Memories, when you can't actually do any of that shit anymore. I think never go beyond Hampstead. That's fine. Unless something terrible happens to Hampstead, which I don't think it will. Hampstead is one of those places that sort of time forgot. Whatever's happening in the world, it's always okay in Hampstead. So I think it's got to be 3. Then I can tell jokes, drink alcohol, and remember stuff. Although the alcohol, I thought that would be a good advert for alcohol. Sort of like a play on words. Dutch Barn, it helps me forget. Because it does actually, it can affect your memory. I told you I do honest advertising. Just me sat in a bin like that. I drink vodka because it helps me forget. What? That. Imagine that in the Super Bowl. That advert. Me in a bin going, I drink vodka because it helps me forget. What? That. Just that. Cost 40 quid, that advert. Put it on Super Bowl. Well, it probably cost about $1 million to put on Super Bowl, but you know what I mean? They're already regretting giving me the company. Right, one more. Jenna, I'm going on my first ever trip to New York tomorrow. Where is your favourite part of New York and why? Oh, Central Park. We go every day, Central Park, walk every day. Like we do here, we walk on the Heath in Hampstead every day we're here. And when we're in New York, we go to the park every day. It's great. It's great. I know loads of dogs there as well. The High Line has got sort of, it's a special place for me because that was the first time I played New York when David Bowie asked me to play Madison Square Garden as a benefit for him helping build the High Line. The High Line Festival, 2007, I want to say, 6, not sure. And we usually walk that every time we're there. It's great. It's like a disused railway where they planted. It's amazing. You just walk the length of it. Sometimes a bit busy in sort of holidays and warm weather, but check out Central Park and the High Line, and those 2 things are free. I think, yeah, those 2. Check those out. Well, what have I got to say? Oh, so, yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. I've invested in that as well. You know about that. Can of water. It's to cut down plastics in the ocean. Just tons and tons. But it never goes away. It kills animals, you know, fish, turtles. It's dreadful. And this is, again, completely recyclable aluminium. And it now comes in a resealable thing, so you open it and you can slide it back and it's totally resealable. So yeah, will it make a huge difference? I don't know. Maybe not in my lifetime, but you know, it's a punt, isn't it? There's worse things to do with your money. So I think it's worth a try. I can't take it with me, can I? So I'm sort of trying to spend my money on nice things, animal charities, sustainable vodka, and cans of water, and I think there's some other things. Maybe I'll do a vegan range of, I don't know, soaps or something. Just something that helps a little bit. If I do loads of things that help a little bit, that's all right, isn't it? That's about it, really. Thanks for following. Yeah, be nice to animals. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye. Queen, somebody to love. I think that's my favourite one of those. How are you? Fair enough. Don't know where you are, but it was warm here in London. 30 degrees again. So yeah. Hope it was nice where you are. I hope you like that. I hope you like hot weather. Hi from Hollywood. Right, you can come in handy. I've got an Emmy campaign. I did ask for some questions before I get onto that. Right, okay, this usually kicks it off, doesn't it? And sort of gives us some sort of structure. Jamie Redknapp, hello. Right. Justice for Gabby says, who's the funniest person you've worked with? Oh, it's David Earl. Overall, I just think, as Kev in Derek, some impossible scenes. That if there's a scene, and this has never happened before, that we couldn't finish it. I couldn't do it because it was too funny. It didn't end up in the show. I don't just mean an outtake. I mean a scene that we couldn't do. It's Kev telling Derek how he gets Janice into the caravan. Right, look it up on YouTube. And in Afterlife, I mean, he's not in Afterlife much. He's going to be in it a bit more in the third season. But just to be opposite him, and he's nervous, tics and everything. Yeah, God. United Mika asked, what's my favourite gig? Oh, no, that's tough. That's tough because I've seen so many. I was a promoter at a venue for like 5 years, and I saw 3 gigs a night. And I mean, bands like Suede, Radiohead, Pearl Jam, Spin Doctors, the Pogues. I've seen Bowie, Elton John, Rod Stewart, Oasis. I think Kate Bush at Hammersmith. It was just magical. Because I've loved her stuff for so long, and she doesn't do a lot. She's not out and about. She hasn't said something stupid on Twitter. You know what I mean? It's like she's an enigma and a recluse. And so to see those songs done so theatrically and so beautifully, and she didn't play like arenas. She played a theatre for like 8 weeks, so she could work on the production. So it was amazing. Also, again, because of the sort of, it was quite magical. We saw James Taylor in a little theatre in Oslo. I was there gigging, and we went to see him at this little theatre and met him afterwards, and that was pretty amazing. So yeah, I'd say Kate Bush. Lee Millard, your favourite episodes of The Office, Derek, and Afterlife? Office, first thought is Training Day, season 1. Red Nose Day at 5, season 2. That's funnier. That is funnier, I think. And it's got the dance. It's pure fun and tragedy. But I'll go for Training Day at 4, season 1. It's got my favourite line. I think there's been a rape up there, and I wrote "Free Love Freeway" for it. And I'm proud of what it does. It does a lot. There's a lot happens in that episode, and that for The Office. Derek, oh God. Again, probably not the funniest episode. In fact, the saddest. The Ivor episode where Derek has to put the dog down. Well, and I love it when I love the special of Derek when Kev's in hospital and we see his 2 brothers and his mum and his dad. I mean, again, just pure funny, just ridiculous. It might be that one, yeah. Afterlife. That's the most difficult because it's so not episodic. It's like one long story. I don't know. It's like I don't know what it's like. I don't know. I don't think I could say. Although I always like the Ep 5s and 6 of Afterlife. I think it grows each series. I think everything gets better and better. So I'll go for Ep 5, series 2, with the Amdram performance, and that's got a bit of everything because that's got a lot of tragedy and sadness, and it's got pure funny. So Training Day in The Office, the special of Derek, and Ep 5, season 2 of Afterlife. Good question, that. Fiona, is Jane celebrating her badminton win? Yeah, that's rare, so it's even more gutting. So yes, I think she ran round the garden. It was hot. I mean, no excuses. I'd had a nap. I was a bit sluggish, so she had a nap. But I think the heat affects larger mammals, doesn't it? That's why the hippo spends a lot of its time in the water. Not only does it help its buoyancy, but it keeps it cool. Because I can reach ridiculous temperatures if exposed for a long time to sunlight. I wear black, right? So what happens with my biology that I get very I have to just slow down. No excuses. It'll never happen again. I'm like a little fat Michael Jordan. I can never lose again. If you could have had an appearance in one of these classic shows, which would you choose? Fawlty Towers, Open All Hours, Only Fools and Horses. Fawlty Towers, no doubt about it. It's still untouchable. Yeah, I mean, they're all great. But yeah, I mean, it's not just brilliant. I think it's important. So yeah, Fawlty Towers. What's the most you ever spent on an item of clothing? Not a lot. I've got expensive items that that have been given to me or that I've got for hosting the Globes or something. £2,000, £3,000 suits and jackets just sat there. Well, I don't. Why do I wear a suit once a year if I have to? I don't look good in a suit. I don't look good in anything. So why would I bother buying Armani suits? I look shit in everything, so I might as well have a £10 t-shirt and tracksuit bottoms. So I don't spend on clothes. I get most of my clothes sort of birthdays and Christmas. Get socks and pants. When I do a production, I keep a couple of t-shirts after that and shoes and trainers. I buy trainers that are quite good because I do a lot of running, so I do. But again, I don't know. What are they? £70? See, there's no point. There's no point. The clothes doesn't do anything. I buy clothes that haven't been made in sweatshops. But I don't get it. I don't get it why people spend £300 on a t-shirt. I just don't get it. Why? Who cares? It doesn't do anything. If it was a bulletproof t-shirt, that would be great. I'd like that. Or it did something. Do you know what I mean? It made you run fast. If there were trainers that made me run 40 miles an hour, yeah, I'd spend, I don't know, 100 grand. If it did something, a bat bout where I could shoot up, yeah. A jacket that, a cloak that made you invisible, £1 million. Anything that made me fly, my entire wealth. If there was a helmet, a crash helmet with a propeller, right, that would just take me up, 5 million, £5 million. If it has to be guaranteed and last me a long time, but. That's like some cartoon, isn't it? I'd love that. So no, I don't spend any money on clothes. They're to hide. They're to hide my body, keep me warm, be comfortable. That's it. That's what clothes are for. Steve in London says, will you speak out in defence of free speech, particularly attacks on comedy? All the time. Yeah, that's the hill I die on. Freedom of speech is fundamental. You can't have a free society without it. It's good for everyone. It's a good system. Attacks on comedy, yeah, ludicrous. A lot of it's faux outrage. It's people owning each other now, innit? Wielding power. That sort of virtual signalling it's meaningless. It's when people pick up on things and they want to be, they're the ones that want to get credit for the hashtag. They want to be known as the person who, and it's pure. It gets ridiculous to the point where everyone wants a piece of it. So it's basically going, look at me. I'll pick up on the tiniest thing. That's how perfect I am. That's how brilliant and woke I am. That I don't, and they start eating their own because it's a form of sort of dogmatic purity where if they can't own the other side, they purify their own side to make them better. So it's ludicrous. Ignore it. Just ignore it. They can't do it. Just ignore it. Someone says, "Oh, you can't say that." Go, yeah, all right, yes, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, bye. Fuck them. Do you have misophonia? Oh, misophonia. Is that's noisy eating, isn't it? Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. Any noise annoys me now. Any unnecessary noise annoys me. I just want it stopped. I just want it stopped. But yeah, noisy eating. Oh, I got annoyed on the plane once. It was first class. This woman, right? She sort of got up from her seat and she went to the toilet, and she was just too tired. It was like she was just too. I was thinking, but it was like she was showing off, going, "Look how tired I am." How can that? Oh, anything annoys me. Someone typing, I have bangles on. Like typing it. Why do people have to type so loud on a? I don't make a noise when I type. Why are they doing that? They're going, I'm a writer, or I got an important meeting. No one has to type that loud. Just type, type like you're Anne Frank. Do you know what I mean? Just let's keep it quiet. Let's keep it quiet. Yeah, the worst one ever, right? It really ruined my day. We just had a walk around San Francisco, right? I was playing there a couple of years ago. It was just beautiful. Around the harbour and around it. It was great. And then we found this beautiful restaurant right out, like on the not a pier, but like a little thing that jutted out. And there was a pelican and there's a seal, and it had just opened. It was empty, and we got a window seat looking out over the bay, and a lovely waiter who said, who was talking to me, and he said, he used to live in London. It was just like, it was amazing. And then every now and again, someone would come out with sort of like plates or something, like the busboy from the kitchen, and he'd stand there and sort of look around, and he'd do this. And the first time, I thought, you're kidding, you're joking. This is a restaurant, right? And I went, do you hear that? And Jay went, yeah, but just ignore it, right? No, what? So I can't be that guy that shouts at a little, I go, oh mate, that's disgusting, right? YouTube, right? So I've got to sit there and take it, right? And every time it came out, it was inevitable. You know, it's that thing that's like a sort of torture that it comes out. In the end, I was just doing this to make myself feel better, right? Just to myself, like that. Just to James going, this is nice. So, yes, I have got, I don't know how to pronounce it, misophonia? I don't know. Oh dear. Well, that was good, wasn't it? A few questions. Got us. That got my blood boiling. Oh God. Oh yeah, I was gonna say the first one said hello from Hollywood. Yeah, it's like the Emmys, the Emmy voting next. Well, I've got no chance. I've got no chance. All the same shows are gonna be up at the big sort of network comedies and that, and Afterlife is like, people go, is that a comedy? There's no falling over or anything. No studio audience, and there's big film stars doing TV now, and so anyway, I think my best chance is comedy performance. I've done well in that. I think that's my most nominations for all my awards. Is performance, more than show, more than writing, directing, whatever. So that's my best shot. But Netflix aren't doing anything. They're not doing a campaign this year. I think because of the pandemic, they do the odd billboard and poster, but there's no point. No one's in, or haven't been, in cars or, airports or anything. So, yeah, I don't know who the Emmy voters are. They don't get sent screeners, it's just on Netflix. So if you know any, tell them to watch. Give me a vote, will you? Could you do my campaign for me? No point in doing it around the rest of the world. I think most of the Emmy voters are in LA. So if you could do a little campaign, do your own posters. A little poster. Like in America, they have those things, vote Romney, right? On their door, in their garden. Do that. People might think I'm running for president. That's all right, isn't it? Vote Ricky Gervais, Afterlife, Dear Emmys. You know what to do. Or that thing they did, that amazing thing they did, that run up to the White House, the Black Lives Matter. Could you do something like that for me? But in LA, could you? Oh dear. Do a campaign for me. Just in the Hollywood, LA area. If you know where any Emmy voters live, just do it outside their house. Is this illegal? No, you can do anything now. People are ripping down statues. People are going, yeah, whatever. So if you're allowed to rip down statues, you're allowed to put up a little poster, vote Ricky Gervais for an Emmy, aren't you? If you're walking around with a big poster and the police go, what are you doing with that? You can't. You go, look, there's someone ripping down. There's someone knocking down Mount Rushmore over there, and they go, oh yeah. Oh dear, I got no chance, but thanks for trying. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye.
Defend yourself. Defend your human rights. Sure. They can't put you in jail for saying naughty words.
Sure.
Would you say the word on camera?
No.
Why?
Because
you don't want to get arrested, do you?
Doesn't want to be arrested.
Because it's so harmful to people?
No.
Is it like bashing? What's wrong with that?
No, would you use that word? Yeah.
I just did.
Yeah, but would you? Okay, but why?
And I'm using it because you're not allowed to, because you're...
I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to.
Say, I love gay people.
I'm allowed to. I just choose not to.
We're getting into it now because there are loads of caveat already to free speech already. There are loads, and I agree with them all. Right. I think I agree with every single one of them. As I said, from libel to slander to food additives, even to watershed and private places and concern. I agree with them all. But the one I don't agree with is someone's right to not hear something they don't like. That's what we can't do. I say that joke is unpleasant. Well, it might be, but it's that thing. You shouldn't pave the jungle. You should put on better boots. You can walk away. You can turn it off. The best form of censorship is your right not to listen. And people get confused what freedom of speech is. They think that freedom of speech is their right to be heard and understood and taken seriously. It's none of that. It's a very delicate thing, but it is written. There are rules, and all you have to do is look them up, and then you'll know that.
She's being arrested and taken to jail for praying outside the abortion clinic. Watch this.
Before I ask you any questions about what's going on today, I have to caution you, which is just your rights, which is you do not have to say anything. It may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioning something which you later on in court. Anything you do so may be given evidence. What are you here for today?
Physically, I'm just standing here.
Okay. Why here of all places? I know you don't live nearby.
But this is an abortion centre.
Okay. That's why you're still. Is you standing here part of the protest?
No. I'm not protesting.
Are you praying?
I might be praying in my head out loud.
So I'll ask you once more, will you voluntarily come with us now to the police station for me to ask you some questions about today and other days where there are allegations that you've broken public space protection?
If I've got a choice, then no.
Okay, well then you're under arrest on suspicion of failing to comply with the Public Spaces Protection Order.
So what is that? It's hard to argue that if your government is arresting people for praying, that you're watching a political phenomenon. Because, of course, praying is not simply a nonviolent act. It's not even a physical act. It can't possibly, at least in secular terms, affect outcomes or harm anyone. Praying for people can never be a crime, but it is a crime in Great Britain. Literally a crime. And the woman you saw is not the only person who's been arrested for doing it. So clearly we're watching a spiritual phenomenon here. I mean, there's sort of no arguing it once you see things like that. Why aren't you more panicked that thousands of people, by their own admission, the admission of the British government, arrested every year for saying words, not threats, words?
I am. I've expressed
So why doesn't someone try to overthrow the government? I don't understand. How can they treat you like slaves if you put up with it?
If they carry on down that road.
Well, they are carrying it on. It's thousands a year, and it's getting more.
Then they will be voted out of office. I guarantee it. Yes. That's how.
Is that what Winston Churchill would say? I think Winston Churchill said, even if a strong man tries to take Poland, a country we've got nothing to do with, it's not even close to here, we're going to risk the lives of our citizens to liberate Poland.
It is a win for free speech, particularly as the judge said. His comments were, in the judge's words, unnecessary, maybe, offensive, but that doesn't mean he's not allowed to say them. It wasn't harassment, and that is what we're concerned about, that even though people might say unpleasant things, the right to freedom of speech is pointless if it doesn't allow you to be offensive. And so, yes, I can completely get why Graham is so happy, and we're so happy for him at the Free Speech Union. This can be quite confusing because this trial happened around the same time as when Graham was arrested by 5 armed police officers at Heathrow for completely different posts. The state seems to have a pattern of working with trans activists. When Sophia Brooks reported Graham to the police for criminal damage and harassment, the CPS took his side straight away, it seems, as they did with the case at Heathrow when he was arrested for those tweets. Now, it is a victory because he has been cleared of harassment, and that was in relation to things he'd said online, things that he'd said to Sophia at the time. But he has been done for criminal damage because Sophia Brooks at the Battle of Ideas last year pursued Graham, following him around, putting his camera right into Graham's face. And Graham said in the trial that he was just angry and the phone away, and that's why Sophia went after Graham for criminal damage. But the Free Speech Union is funding Graham's appeal for that conviction because we believe that it sets a dangerous precedent for trans activists to play heckler's veto to try and shut down lawful debate. And you may remember the case that Susan Smith from Women Scotland had a similar incident happen up at Holyrood when a trans activist came with music blaringly loud to try and drown out the voices of women, and he accused Susan of criminal damage to his umbrella. Now, of course, Police Scotland have dropped those charges after the FSU intervened. Now, that's very similar, and arguably similar to Hammock Hoskins' case as well, where because someone retaliated, and so allowing these cases to pursue with, for example, Graham being convicted of criminal damage, gives the precedent that trans activists basically can wind up people who are wanting to critique trans ideology, and then eventually getting them convicted by going to the police and saying that they were the one harassing me, even though very plausibly I think it was Sophia Brooks who was harassing Graham. This is not the first time that he's been targeted, which is one of the reasons why he's moved to the US, because he simply cannot get away from the persecution that he's faced at the hands of trans activists, because he was one of the first people to start speaking up about this in sort of 2018 time, and he had his colleagues in the entertainment industry completely desert him, who have criticised him and tried to distance themselves from him. He can't get any work here anymore, and when he did return to come to this trial, he was arrested by 5 armed police officers at Heathrow for other tweets. So understandably, he's moved away to where free speech is far better protected in the US.
Your country went to war to preserve human rights in another country you had nothing to do with, but human rights are evaporating in your own country, and it's cool because you have soccer games with foreigners at them and good burrata. Yeah. And I'm just saying maybe something about the heroic British spirit has been diminished with time. That's all I'm saying.
But there is a very lovely, quaint notion being built up in the United States, driven by people like Tommy Robinson here.
Who's Tommy Robinson?
You know Tommy Robinson.
He seems like a fraud to me.
Well, he's not even Tommy Robinson. His name's Stephen Yaxley. It's not even his real name. He's also convicted of multiple crimes. Thuggery, fraud.
I don't even know anything about him, but he doesn't seem like he's that into Britain.
We would call him a little shit stirrer, right? However,
But the real people here, the actual Britons.
But this idea that he's driven, that we're on the verge of some sort of civil war here. Do you feel that when you walk around?
No, because that's my point. You're so passive.
We're not passive.
They take your human rights away, and you're like, oh, defending Ukraine is so important. We're so proud to have defended Poland's territorial integrity 80 years ago. It's like, great. Yeah. I'm so glad.
I'm very proud of that.
Apparently. Yeah. But it's all a kind of displacement where you're taking your own frustrations with yourselves and your own cowardice and sort of living in this Walter Mitty world. We're like, no, actually, we're brave. We're going to defend Ukraine. It's like, what about defend yourselves against the monsters?
What's wrong with defending Ukraine?
It's like 8th on the list. Defend yourself. Defend your human rights. Sure. They can't put you in jail for saying naughty words.
Sure.
Period.
I agree.
So march on the Capitol. Get these people out. Scare them.
Yeah.
I've gone on sort of like the opposite journey in that I feel like I started off atheistic just the same way that I would reject any attempt to impose regulation or control on me for the purposes of domination. But like, as I've gone through my own stuff with addiction and mental health or whatever it is, and like I know that you're very that, for example, afterlife is about legitimate grief as opposed to some kind of abstract idea of mental illness brought about by hormonal or neurological balance. But myself, my own sense of despair, particularly looking at it from a perspective of mental health issues and addiction, is that there is an unaddressed yearning for a kind of oneness, togetherness, and like to your point earlier about Brent, indeed for love. And when like you talk about that sense of awe of like the appreciation of an animal, the love of an animal, and the sort of regard and gratitude for having an animal love you and care for you, or the beauty of nature, or the deep beauty of the cosmos, what I feel like, and my own appreciation, understanding, stroke belief in God is that there is a kind of, in the love of it, in the awareness of rightness itself, there is an indication that there is such a thing as rightness. Not that any one particular group or ideology has unique, particular and special access to it, and I really firmly, deeply believe that spirituality is for me, not for me to tell other people, boy, I don't reckon you should be gay, or I don't reckon you should be allowed to do it. Like, I feel like I do my shit.
In the Bible it says you should pray secretly.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like there is something sort of deeply private about it. But I also think, Ricky, that there is a social consequence to I don't necessarily want to say atheism, because I completely agree with your point that there's good and bad, in like beyond those kind of limited taxonomies. But like I do feel like when people think there's no purpose or meaning, that and that needn't necessarily be just because of a belief in God, that it creates cultures that are oddly materialistic, nihilistic. And I feel like in the last 20 years we're seeing more and more worship of self, worship of individual.
Of course, there's a new narcissism, of course, and I don't know why. I think social media is partly to blame. I think people being rewarded for bad behaviour is partly to blame. Magazines or TV or whatever. I did a speech in the Big Brother house as Andy Millman in Extras, and again, that was at the beginning of it, and now it's got worse. But a couple of points. I do think there's people crave a oneness, even if we don't go about understanding about why we're here, because again, that's very human. We're inquisitive. We want to know why. We want the answer why, and some people don't accept. We don't know yet, but we're on the way. They go, no. Well, that's no. The God of the gaps. We understand that. Well, if you don't know how to explain it, God did it. Okay, well, it doesn't really solve anything. Even down to the, I put a joke in Afterlife where Kath's bothering me, and she says, where did it all come from? Someone from nothing. And I go, well, where did it all come from then? She goes, God made it. I go, okay, where did God come from? She went, he's always been around. I go, simple as that, isn't it? So, it doesn't answer the question, but I get it. And I think, apart from people wanting there to be some sort of divine justice, because that would be great. Good people would be rewarded and bad people would be punished. Brilliant. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You only have to look at, children in Africa being born with cancer, and we know that's not. We know mysterious ways isn't an explanation. Okay. That to me is someone who doesn't know the answer and says mysterious ways. But apart from that, you're right. We're seeking the answer. Why are we here? I think we think that, hold on, well, it's too good. It's too good to be chance. Everything's perfect. Well, it seems that way. It's like Douglas Adams' puddle, when it imagines this, I fit this hole perfectly. But I think you're right. We are scared and alone. And the idea of death is horrible. What, you'll never exist again? What was the point? And again, I talk about this in Afterlife 1, where I say, Kath's saying that if you think it's, there's no heaven, why don't you kill yourself? And I say, so if you're watching a really good film, but it's going to end, you might as well just stop it. She went, no, because I can watch it again. And I say, I think that's the amazing thing about life. You can't watch it again. One day you'll hug, your mum for the last time. You'll smell your last flower. You'll eat your last meal. You won't know it's your last, but it will be your last. And so you've got to make the most of everything. And it is a terrifying prospect. It is like sad that we'll never exist again, I think. But it doesn't mean it's not true. The bottom line is, I can't believe something I don't believe. And so how do I find meaning? Well, we are here. We are here. The chances of us being us, you being you and me being me, existing now, that sperm hitting that egg is 400 trillion to 1. We're not special, but we are lucky. We do exist. It's incredible. And I think of it, it's like a holiday. We don't exist for 13.5 billion years. Then we explode into this this electronic blob of thought, introspection, love, hate, fear, beauty, horror for 80, 90, 100 years if we're lucky. Then we die and we never exist again. We return, our atoms return, and it carries on, right? And that's not scary, because I think people are scared of death because they don't know what's beyond. And someone said to me, well, what do you think it feels like when you die? And I say, like the 13.5 billion years before I was born. And that was all right. So, but the big thing is injecting meaning. I think you're totally right. When you start thinking about it, why are we here? Well, not even the how, but why? Well, to live your life to the fullest and not hurt anyone, to leave the world in a better place than it was when you came into it, to experience everything, all the reasons, all the obvious reasons, love, wine, dogs, learning, all these great things that you can do every minute of every day that you're alive. And then you check out. You go, I'm done, thanks. And it's done, and it's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful.
It is beautiful. But I was struck when you said that by a few things. One is like the sort of like the injection of meaning, as in, like meaning would have to be imported externally, fabricated somehow, invented. Whereas I think on some level I feel that that meaning is inhered, and that the meaning is in the kind of zeal that you have when you describe the things that give you love, pleasure, connection, whether it's wine or dogs or whatever. I've had like some experiences like through meditation, and when I took drugs too young, and now I'm not allowed to do ayahuasca or LSD or them things that I would definitely be doing if I wasn't in recovery. But I had like these experiences that were a kind of, I would say, a sort of an evaporation of self and yet a continued awareness. I know that my consciousness is connected to my biology, but I have a sense somewhat derived from the fact that you can't trace how mechanical parts ever become conscious, that consciousness may be elemental somehow. Now that doesn't point to a god in a traditional patriarchal or domineering sense, but it sort of points to an element that's very difficult to quantify, whether that's the deep intelligence of nature, the deep mathematics of biochemistry and biology, and the essential mystery of consciousness itself, commonly referred to as the hard problem. And through these sort of individual experiences, whilst I've not had anything that you would call typically religious, Jesus emerging out of a tunnel, Ganesh lashing around, or any of that sort of stuff, what I've had is like it's highly bloody interpretive, because say there's this one breath thing I do. You breathe from the abdomen very aggressively, and then you sort of take a sharp inhale, and you're nearly, a medical man would say what you're doing there is hyperventilating and nearly passing out. But from the inside, what it feels like is bloody hell. For this moment, I am aware, and I am not me. What is this? What is this? Is there a possibility that my awareness, your awareness, the awareness of all animals, and an awareness that's impossible to read is somehow present in all nature, in all matter? And if that's true, then there's a kind of a genuine cohesion and togetherness between all of the beings of the earth and beyond, and those people that can't actually enjoy the lives that we are privileged to have, of the red wine or the dogs or whatever. I'm not saying that's some sort of comfort to them, but in fact those of us that are in privileged position might feel newly incentivized to work towards a different kind of society and system that is more reflective of those values. Now, that doesn't necessarily require monotheism, pantheism, or any of those things, but it is somewhat underwritten by a kind of a sameness and a oneness, and how that might relate to justice. And also there is a sort of a personal experience of mystery in it. I wonder what you feel about that, and if you're curious about psychedelics and that and altered states and that.
You seem to handle your fame very well. It hasn't gone to your head, no. I was already annoying. You still care about others as much as you ever did, yeah. Who do you think handles their fame well? Who else? I don't know. Some people love it. I'm sort of better with it. I'm over it now. And also people, and I never had it. I never really had it bad. When I first popped up, there's a bit of a frenzy. Who is he? Where's he from? And, after a big thing like the Golden Globes, they come out of the woodwork again and ask questions. But most people know I'm not a pop star or a racing driver. You know what I mean? I'm not glamorous for the papers. So, and I don't go to places where I'm going to be bothered. I do my thing, I do my work, and then I come home. So I'm sort of fine with it. I don't fear it as much. I'm more independent. Like in the early days, I hated doing all the interviews and papers, but I had to for them to watch my show. Now I don't need to do that. I just do things I like. I've got more viewers than newspapers, So, but I'm pretty cool with it, and and I haven't had a bad time like some people. Some people are slagged off all the time. Some people caught it, of course. I never did that thing where I said, make me famous, then you can go through my bins. So it's not been bad for me. Who else handles it? Well, there's people that seem to love it, love the atmosphere, love the game, the good and bad. Like Piers Morgan, he's good at it because I think he evolved doing that sort of thing. He's a sort of a contrarian, I guess. And you've got to know that some things he means and some things he doesn't. Some things he's trolling, like being furious about a vegan sausage roll, and then other things he means, like stuff. So, but I think he'd admit he's got to be a bit clickbaity. It's his living, and I think he handles it well. I think that he knows that he's got to live and die by the. If he slags people off, they're going to slag him off. So he's got to be ready, and all you do there is just not be a hypocrite. I think, be fair. So I think he handles it well. Maybe he seems to. Maybe he goes home and the wall and says, "I said what? I don't know. You'd have to ask him."